hello there. This is your girl, Valerie Mason Chase, and here's the Cookie Man.
Hello.
Also known as Frank Bernard Chase Jr. So welcome. I'm welcoming you here to another episode of Marriage Matters, brought to you by Marriage Beyond the Breach. And honey, there are a lot of scriptures in the Bible that refer to laughter and joy and that sort of thing. There are a lot of them, but I just want to read a few of them for you. In Proverbs 15:13, it says, "A glad heart makes a happy face, but a broken heart crushes the spirit." Proverbs 17:22 says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength." And even in Psalms 2:4 says, "But the one who rules in heaven laughs." That even is an indication that even God enjoys laughter. So, I was thinking, Frank, what part does this play, laughter that is, when it comes to marriage?
Well, I think at various times, laughter can ease some pain. It can help you look at yourself and have you realize that everything doesn't always have to be so serious.
Oh, yeah.
That there can be, even when there is a serious topic, because the other day, Val was kind of upset with me. We was having a discussion about something.
Oh, Lord, he's going to tell all my business now, y'all.
But forgetting the words that happened, I couldn't help but laugh. And the more I laughed, the more upset she got. But that in itself caused whatever tension might have been there to kind of dissipate. And I just kept right on laughing. Even after she scratched me, I kept right on laughing.
You're not supposed to tell that. But the scratching was by accident. I didn't mean to scratch him, but I grabbed him. I had to yoke him real quick because he made me mad. And the more he laughed, the angrier I got. So I had to yoke him real quick. I didn't realize that, I had my claws out when I did that. But anyway, we have a very, very, hi, Lynette. So great to have you here with us. A very, very special couple here with us today. They happen to be one of my favorite couples in the universe. I just love them. I'm going to bring them on camera now. We have James and Elaine Macarthur. Hey, Elaine and Jimmy.
Hi, Frank and Val. How are you?
We are doing well, and I want to thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank
you. Appreciate that so much. So before we get started, I want to tell our listeners a little bit about you guys. We're going to read your bios real quick. Frank, you can read Jimmy.
Okay. Get a little older, you need some help. Hang on.
Check it out, bro. I got mine on there.
I saw you. I didn't want to say that, but I saw it.
Shoot.
All right. Today is a real actual family affair. Those are my cousins.
Yeah.
Our cousins.
Yes.
All right. James L. MacArthur, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Although James is the fourth oldest born among his 6 siblings, many think he is the first. After graduating from high school, James served in the United States Army for 6 years with an honorable discharge in 1987. After receiving extensive military training, gaining employment with the New York City Department of Correction was a perfect fit. However, and now I'm mad at this part. However, now retired. That's my blessings to you, my brother. Blessings. However, now retired from the department after 20 years. His passion for furniture restoration and gardening has landed him into unexpected employment opportunities across the city. His razor-sharp eye for turning other people's junk into treasures is truly a gift. Attending Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn for over 25 years has taught him the importance of putting God first.
Yes.
Amen. James loves playing music, spending time with family, friends, and a strong believer in meeting the needs of small, disadvantaged children that may not have the resources or tools to excel in life. In 1989, James married his childhood sweetheart, Elaine Hurley, whom he knew was his wife the first time they met. Together, they have 2 daughters, 16 nieces and nephews, and 6 great grand nieces and nephews.
Mm-hmm.
He is affectionately known in the community as Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy. Everybody's uncle.
Yeah.
Everybody's uncle. Even the cousins call him Uncle Jimmy. Uncle Jimmy.
I know. I'm going to read Elaine's bio, but I just want to give a shout out to Vion. Thank you for watching. John Bowser. Hey, Rico, Jan Patterson. Thank you guys for watching so much. Share, comment as we going along, okay? So Elaine L. Macarthur, prayer warrior extraordinaire. She was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Elaine spent her earlier years working after obtaining an associate's degree in medical laboratory technology in the field for the last 34 years. In conjunction with working, Elaine pursued a degree in health and nutrition science, where she obtained her Bachelor of Science from Brooklyn College. Her study in health and nutrition, along with her Christian faith, confirmed to her that God is interested not only in the spiritual being, but God also desires to be included in the entire human experience. I love that so much. And I absolutely agree with you on that, because she is a certified functional nutritional health coach and loves sharing dietary and nutritional information to women over 50. Her life commitment is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ through nutrition, fitness, mental wellness, and the important need in maintaining overall health. In 2015, Elaine created Beauty for Ashes. It's a ministry based on the biblical promise in Isaiah 61 verses 1 through 3, which proclaims in exchange for ashes, which are one's mistakes, despair, hurt, and pain, God will bestow them with the crown of beauty. This beauty encompasses love, peace, patience, hope, and grace. Presently, Beauty for Ashes has evolved into an international movement that reaches the masses through social media and locally via semi-annual events hosted in Brooklyn. And I just got to say, those events are phenomenal. I have attended so many of them myself, and I can absolutely vouch for just how phenomenal they are. Elaine loves spending time with her family and friends, cooking healthy meals, keeping fit, absolutely fit. I'm jealous of that body. Reading and listening to music. For the last 30 years, Elaine has been married to her childhood sweetheart, Mr. James MacArthur. Elaine's motto she adopted in life was espoused by Nobel Peace Prize awardee, the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it says, if you haven't found a cause worth dying for, then you haven't really lived. Mm-hmm. Elaine continues to impact communities near and far as she praises her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So those who are watching, join me in welcoming James and Elaine Macarthur. Thank you guys again so much for being here.
Thank you.
And you know, guys, recently I was reading this article, and the writer of the article suggested that laughter is often a very good indicator of how well a marriage is going. Yeah. So I want to ask you guys first, before we get into the question and answer portion, tell me a little bit about your love story. I know how long you've been married. How did you guys meet? And Jimmy, you said you knew she was your wife when you first saw her. Tell me what led you to that conclusion.
Wow. Well, I think it was back in 1977, 1978, around that time when I first met her. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine brought me to her house. We were going to, pick up another friend of mine who was actually dating her at the time. Right? Who was actually dating her at the time. So she came out of her building, and when she came out of the building, she was like at the top of the stairs. So when I saw her, I was telling my other friend, I was like, hey, Brent. I said, yo, that's my wife right there, like that. Just clear blue sky, clear blue sky. He's like, oh, man, get out of here. That's Barry's girlfriend. Leave her alone. What are you talking about? I'm like, man, that's my wife from day one. That was it. That was it. I chased her around for a couple of years, and you know, we were young, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't know what we're doing there. She kept pushing me away, but I was going. I was going to get her. And eventually we got together, started dating, and after that it was marriage.
Yeah. So you chased her till she caught you.
No, I don't. She didn't get slick. Don't try to get slick, girl.
Yeah, they have us believing it's us, but
right, exactly.
Yeah. So from your perspective, Elaine, tell me what it was like when you first met your future husband.
When I first met him, I didn't like him really. You know, I didn't like him for a boyfriend, you know, or interested at all. You know.
Yeah.
No, that's because I had a crooked afro. She didn't like my afro. That's all it was. Back then, I had an afro.
And yeah, so I would push him off. I would dodge him. Actually, I was best friends with his sister. So I was at, you know, his home a lot, you know, with his sister. We used to go to the park or, you know, hang out, Coney Island. We went to Coney Island a lot. So that's how kind of like, too, we always saw each other because I was always with his older sister. But I didn't really like care for him because I thought, you know, he had a lot of girlfriends. And I was like, this guy is not for me. But once I got to know him, I really saw that he had a really kind heart. And that kind of like sparked my attention to kind of like, let me see more. Let me learn more about him.
Yeah. Wow. Well, listen, so many years later, whatever it was, it worked because y'all are still together and going strong after so many years. And I know y'all got a whole lot more ahead of y'all.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yeah, praise God. So I want to ask you, when and under what circumstances did you first become aware of the element of laughter in your relationship?
Good question.
You want to answer that?
I answered portion of it. You answer the rest, because I would say from day one. Because as growing up and stuff like that, we always laughed together, played together, talked together, you know, and it just kept materializing from there. We just kept, you know, just enjoying life, as you say. We enjoyed life, and laughter was a big part of it because I'm a funny guy anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
and for me too, I honestly, I would say about 10 years ago, it dawned on me, like, I'm like, wow, Jimmy and I are still laughing. You know, it just dawned on me, like, we are still laughing. And at that point, I knew that God is definitely in the midst. And I knew that we are still on a good path, because laughter is always kind of like a gauge. You can kind of like gauge your relationship. You cannot, like you said, Frank, earlier in the intro, not taking things so serious, you know, and it can definitely, you know, put water on a tense situation, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're still laughing after all of these years, and that's definitely a blessing. Definitely a blessing.
And as I got older, you know, too, I got more wiser, you know, when it comes to things, because I always felt that, you know, with laughter, if I kept laughter in our relationship as I grow older, it made me kind of like smarter to her needs, you know what I'm saying? Because if I don't make her laugh, like you said, Frank, she can get upset with you, you know what I'm saying? And you want to break that ice. You want to, like, hey, what I got to do? You say something funny, it's over with. You broke the ice. Yeah.
And you know, Elaine, I absolutely agree with what you said earlier about how laughter is a gauge, because during the worst times in my marriage with Frank, in our marriage, there was no laughter at all. But the way our relationship is now, since God has restored us and we have a whole new marriage, we find ourselves laughing a lot. And I was just thinking about that this morning. We laugh a lot, and sometimes we're laughing at ourselves. We laugh at each other. You know, sometimes we can't even stay mad at each other because we just break out in laughter. And I'm just saying, to God be the glory. And that you are so right that is a good gauge, because when there is tension and when things are not well in the marriage, there's hardly going to be any laughter at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. Not a chance to communicate with each other. Like Val said, there was a time that something happened. I can't remember the exact thing, but I was really upset. But as I walked past Val and she looked at me, it had that what I call that dumb blank look, and I couldn't help but smile. And even behind my anger, I'm kind of grinning and smiling. So Val, you need to stop that. And that opened up an avenue for us to start talking.
Yes.
For a few minutes, I was angry, wasn't speaking. You know, I go in my room, watch TV, whatever. But what I heard in that room was, you need to walk out there, not knowing what was going to happen, but you need to walk out there. And what happened was we looked. We smiled. I tried to continue to be angry, but I couldn't. And I started smiling and said, you know what, babe, you need to stop that. And started talking again.
Yeah.
See how we said, I need to stop it, but he's going up his mouth. Where you come from with that?
But like again, as we grew older, we developed that trait to forgive those things, you know. The wisdom came into play, and you know, and then the laughter came into play, is because you can't be mad, you know, all the time. Right? Because that's just a miserable life to me. You know?
Absolutely, you are so right. We cannot be mad on something. What's the first thing you said? Because I wanted to piggyback on what you just said, Jimmy. About being mature and about growing up and getting wisdom. And that is so accurate, because a lot of times in our youth, we get upset over silliness. Right. And the older you get, the fewer things really matter that are even worth getting upset about.
Right.
So you are so right. Yeah, I agree with you 100% about it. You grow and you mature and you get wiser.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, let me get a shout out real quick to my father-in-law. Hey, Pop. Thank you for watching all the way from San Diego, California.
Yes. Wow.
I have a question for you guys. How important has your ability to find humor in situations helped your marriage? And have you used humor to diffuse an otherwise tense or tough situation? I'm gonna answer that. But go ahead.
Again, you know what?
In a tough situation, you used humor.
I'm trying to think, because I don't have tough situations with my wife. You know, really.
I like that.
You know, it's more situations is like finances, you know, when it comes into finances and stuff like that, I would consider that a tough situation. But you got to joke about that too, because sometimes one person's spending, you know, and then they might be offended because now you judging how much I spend. But no, it's not about that. It's about, hey, we're staying on this budget, so let's stay on that budget. And then and I kind of make jokes about that, you know, just to send a message, a little subtle message to you know, to kind of like downplay it a little bit.
Yes, especially when he goes to his favorite furniture store. Yeah.
What's his favorite furniture store?
It's called the Big Reuse.
Oh no, it's the Salvation Army.
Salvation Army.
So does that tell you who's spending?
He goes there like a couple of times a week. He was just driving, not on the agenda, going to the Salvation Army, but he's like, and I'm seeing he's going in a different direction. He's like, let's stop at the Salvation Army. That's just like such a treat for him to see what can he restore, you know? But,
wow.
But yeah, you know, the tough situations, thank God we don't have many.
Right. We
do. But the little bit that we do have, you know, we don't really kind of like drag it out or, you know, get too serious, you know, with each other. It's just something we touch on it and we just try to move on, you know, because outside in the world, it's so much going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
So I always felt that once everybody, whether your children, your grandchildren, your spouses, when they come home is supposed to be the safe haven where you can just let your guard down. Right. You can just laugh. You can just relax. You can just act silly. You know, you can just, you know, stay in your foundation where you're comfortable at, because the next day we got to go back into that jungle.
Go back out there.
Right.
You got to go back in that jungle again. So I think the home is where you basically restore yourself and rejuvenate yourself to go back out, into that jungle. So
yeah, I think that's very important. That's a powerful statement, and I think that's an aspect of married life that sometimes couples can miss, because let's say there is something you want to talk about, and then as soon as your spouse walks through the door, it's been burning in your heart all day. As soon as they walk in the door, now you want to pounce and have this serious conversation. But some timing is as important as temperature and tone.
Right.
And and honestly, for full transparency, that's something that I had to learn.
okay.
Yeah, because I'm the one that, listen, we want to talk about this. We're going to get it out. We're going to deal with this right now.
Right.
Come through the door. I'm at the door. You're taking off your shoes. Well, I'm ready to talk.
You talking.
Right. But I had to learn that is not a healthy way to communicate.
Yeah.
And like you said, each one of us, and especially our men folks, sometimes they're dealing with so much stuff outside.
Definitely.
And one thing I've had to learn is I need to be a soft place to land for my husband and not be like a prickly pear.
And that's why our relationship is so great, is because she is that person,
Yeah.
When I'm stressed out and stuff like that, I can always go to my wife and talk, and she'll bring me down, I can be on 100, but she brings me back down.
Yeah.
So,
that's important.
I want to give a shout out to Jackie. Hey, Jackie Finch, thanks for watching. So I want to ask you guys, do you think it's important for couples to have the same sense of humor? Why or why not? What are your thoughts on that?
To some degree, yes. To some degree, I think it is important, because just like your favorite comedian, my favorite comedian might not be Jimmy's favorite comedian, because the humor is different, but I think once the humor is kind of basically compatible, I think the lightness of the atmosphere will be better, because he might tell a joke or might, joke on me, and I might not get it, or I might take offense to it, not knowing that he's coming from a sincere place. So I think having the same type of humor is definitely a good thing in marriage.
Yeah, I think that certainly can help, because if one person has a very dry sense of humor and the other one has this more kind of slapstick, they're not going to match too well, because one that has a dry sense of humor might be offended by some of the humor of the other spouse. What do you want to say?
As I was thinking about it, I'm on the side of disagreeing.
Okay.
As long as whatever the difference is doesn't offend either or, and or respect the person when they say, "Hey, listen, I'm offended by that," or "It bothered me," then you're kind of mindful, but. Because there's stuff that I watch, I think is hilarious. Now we're talking, I guess, different type of humor that doesn't affect us personally, but stuff I watch, and Val will get on me. Well, you watch that stupid stuff, but to me, that's my humor. It's funny. You don't have to watch it. But the biggest thing is to understand that we might not agree on everything.
Right.
Be mindful of that and be respectful of whatever the person doesn't like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I agree. Go ahead, cuz you were about to say something.
No, go ahead.
I totally agree, Frank, too. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it is definitely respect is a big part of that. When the types of humor our sense of humor is different.
Sure.
To say, well, if you do something to me that you think is funny, and because a perfect example, and this was stuff between Frank and I, but in terms of differences in senses of humor, I remember one time I was working at a place, and there were these groups of nurses who did certain things to one another that they thought was funny. And I'm sitting over there, I'm saying, they got one time to come over here and do that to me. Because that is not funny. To me, that's not funny. And but fortunately, I let them know that I didn't find any humor in that, and they didn't bring that to me.
Okay.
And I think that's even more so to have that level of respect in a marriage. If Frank would have tried to do something to me, and I said to him, "Babe, you know what? That's not funny to me," or vice versa.
Right. I mean, this is a physical thing, But in the beginning, I thought it was funny to try to tickle Val.
Oh, yeah.
And even when she would get upset, I still thought it was funny. And I had to learn and understand it's something she didn't like. At the beginning, I didn't understand why. It didn't matter why. She was communicating to me, Frank, this is hurtful for me. It's not funny.
Right.
And again, it took a while to learn how to tickle her certain ways.
It took him a good while.
Especially after a couple of punches in my rib, I had to learn quick. But
but honestly speaking, though, when I finally communicated to him the reason why it is so uncomfortable, because that area of my body and that tickling sensation was associated with the sexual trauma. And once I was able to share that with him, he completely understood. And he knows now, even if he touches that area by mistake, because even now I'm 65 years old and that is still a sensitive area for me and still very, very uncomfortable. But even now, if he touches it even by mistake, he'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, whatever," and he'll find an area that is more acceptable.
Okay, right.
So I'm wondering, have things that you find humor in, has it changed over the years, or has it remained the same?
I think it remains the same. We love watching television together, watching movies together, especially Martin. Martin, we watch Martin all day long, and then, just hanging around. I love being around my wife, and, and like I said, it took a little time, after retiring and everything like that. I'm sorry, Frank. But after retiring, I had more time on my hands. And with that time, I had to develop and redesign myself and reprogram myself from the work attitude and the work environment and everything like that into like the home life and being home all the time. And then when she's coming home, to understanding the fact that she's coming home from work and I've been home all day and I got to understand she had a stressful day. I got to keep it comic with her, because when she come in the house, if I'm sitting there, being angry and, challenging her and not giving her that release when I come, hey, babe, how was your day? And she'll start telling me something about her day. She'll tell me something about her day. And then I'll make a joke out of it. I say, hey, you home now.
He's always joking. Oh my goodness. Always joking. It's like sometimes I'm like, enough. Okay, enough. Like
she loves it. She loves it. She loves it. She mentioned it to me the other day. She says, you know what? I'm so happy I married you. I said, what? It kind of like threw me off. I said, why? Because I'm a comedian. I had to just think
the jokester. We call him
right out.
We call him the jokester as well. The jokester.
Yeah. You know what? That reminds me of Frank. Was it yesterday you came? You said those 7 words or something.
Yeah.
He kind of caught me off guard. What did you say, babe?
I'm gonna see if Jimmy can key in. It was a very well-known ball player for the New York Yankees. It was his last game. He was dying from a debilitating neurological disease.
Leukemia.
I don't know. I forget what it was. And his speech was, I don't know what I was thinking. It's just one of those moments where I just came out of the room and I said, Val, there were these 7 famous words. I might have got the amount of words wrong, but I said, I consider myself the luckiest man on the planet.
Lou Gehrig.
Yeah, there you go. Lou Gehrig disease is what they called it. Sure.
Right.
And, again, you have those moments where I just felt compelled to come out and say that to Val. Because I really do.
Oh, babe.
Oh, so sweet.
So sweet. Now, you know what? I can accept that now. But about 10 years ago, I would have said what you did.
Yeah, right?
Oh, man.
Now, praise God.
Like, oh,
yeah, right?
What am I going to go to? What am I going to see when I walk into that room? Yeah, but praise God. I want to give a shout out to Janet. Hey, Janet, and my sister girl, Val Spalding. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate y'all. So, do you think there is ever a time when laughter might be inappropriate?
At a
Yes.
funeral.
Yes.
At a funeral.
Well, it depends. I mean, I've been to some funerals or some homegoings where there was laughter, but there's this one particular time that pops up in my head. We were driving to Canada for my birthday, right?
Yeah.
So we got to the border where, you know, they check and they ask you questions. Why are you coming into Canada? Do you have any drugs or whatever in the car? Who's in the car? Jimmy had to roll down the back windows because we took mommy with us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to inspect everybody. This guy started cracking jokes. Now we're talking about at the border in Canada, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we're going to jail. We're going to jail with my mom. I'm like, I don't believe this. And the reaction to the lady, she was the main person asking all the questions. You should have seen her face. She was just like shocked. So she took the dogs, you know, I guess they're dogs that's specifically sniff for drugs.
Yeah.
Took the dogs to the back of the car, smelling like,
wow.
I know, but that was because I was already tense driving up to the border. I'm like,
She's
and I
always
saw
tense when it
how
comes to the
serious
police.
they
Always.
I saw how serious they were. I'm like, you know, and this guy joking around. So when the windows were closed, everything was fine, and we drove off. I was like, if you ever joke in such a serious time, you can't be joking all the time. So that particular time, I can remember. That was kind of scary for me.
Yeah, that was a little off.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, Yeah, so Jimmy, how did you feel after that when Elaine said to you, listen, that was a bit much? How did you feel when you heard her say that?
I mean, I respected it, you know, how she was feeling and everything like that. But again, I always felt that at that situation, you know, for me, when I get in tense situations like that, or I get in a nervous situation, I have to take myself someplace else. And at that point, the comedy thoughts came into mind. It took me someplace else from that tense situation. And one thing too, from being in a law enforcement field and being in that background and stuff like that, you have to kind of like break the ice with law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? You have to break the ice because they got to understand the fact that, hey, listen, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to harm you. And I'm not here to do anything. And I'm not doing anything illegal. So I always feel like you can feel a person out if you throw something out there into the universe towards them. You know, if you crack a joke and then they say, oh, they laugh at it, you broke the ice. So now you can have a normal conversation.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what we all fail to realize, you know, that laughter starts conversations. You know? Laughter takes away fear, you know. And you gotta understand that it really works. You know? That's just me. I'm not saying that it's good for everybody because, you know, that's just me. And it works for me.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think it will work for most people because the laughter will allow an individual to let their guard down. And once the guard is down, and then that's when you two can enter into each other's space and have that conversation.
Right.
As you were talking
Communicate,
about.
right. Communications can open up, you know, and you can feel comfortable about communicating and talking to one another.
Yeah.
Just a little chuckle from a person gives you that, oh, they chuckled. Okay, so now we can talk. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she just gets frightened anytime.
Yeah. Not at the border though. Not at the border.
I know. I'm like you, Elaine. In certain situations like that, I get very nervous. I get really scared. Anything to do with law enforcement or anything like that, I get nervous.
Yes.
I get pulled over by a cop. The first thing I do is I call Frank. Or if I can't get him, I'll call somebody and I leave the line open because I'm scared.
Yes.
The one and only time I had to go to traffic court, Frank and John was with me, right? Now this is just traffic court. I was just there for a speeding ticket or something. I'm standing up there in front of the judge and I got sweat rolling down my back and I could hear them back there cracking up. They were dying. I'm standing there trembling and yes, Your Honor, and it's only a traffic ticket, right? So
But if you would have took yourself somewhere else, put yourself in another place, space, or anything like that, it would have been more easier.
Yeah, I couldn't even do that in the moment because I was scared. So I want to give a shout out to I did to Janet already. Hey, Janet and Valerie Spalding. I think I might have done that already. If so, I did it again.
Last question, you guys. What advice would you give to a couple who what your typing's off?
What's my typing off?
What advice would you give to a couple who is having difficulty finding and enjoying laughter in their relationship?
Good question.
That's an excellent question. What do you say, babe?
Invite Bernie Mac over.
Huh? I don't know. I'm not a good person to give advice, but
Of course you are.
I don't know.
I would say to find, first of all, you can't be so serious.
Right. Oh, okay.
You know, and if you're not able to find laughter in your marriage or relationship, then there's other issues that needs to be addressed.
Right. It's deeper.
Something else is going on that you're not able to find some kind of humor, you know, with your partner. So once, you know, you might want to notice or recognize maybe there is something else. You know, do you like the person? Find out, do you like your spouse? Do you like the person?
Yeah.
And just don't take everything so serious. Don't always be on, you know, the fence. And just find the little things to enjoy, because life is so short. You know, life is so short. You don't want to just be serious all the time. Not have fun with your partner. You know, this is the person that you are in a relationship with. You should be having some kind of fun.
And it makes and laughter too in the relationship makes your life a lot easier, and it makes it your love life and everything last longer because you enjoy one another. You enjoy one another. Yeah. You know, you build up a relationship now, and you know it just helps everything in a marriage.
Yeah, all around. I think all around. So just look for the small things that you can laugh with your spouse. You know. Watch comedian shows together. You know.
I can tell you one time where it was just so funny. I did this little thing to my wife. I had got it off of YouTube, but I saw it on YouTube. And me and my daughter was in here, right? So I got a little red cup, right? And I got on a ladder, and I filled it with like a little bit of water, and I put it to the top of the ceiling, and I was holding up at the top of the ceiling. So Elaine was upstairs, so I called her downstairs. Elaine, come downstairs, come down. There's a leak in the ceiling. There's a leak in the ceiling. So I got this little red cup, you know. I'm holding it up in the ceiling like that. I said, get the broom. And she runs around trying to find the broom. And then she brings the broom. I said, put the broom up under here. Stick it up under the cup, hold the cup to the ceiling. Right? So she took the broom and she holding the cup to the ceiling. I came down off the step stool and I stood up to the stairs right there. And my daughter was right there, and we looked at her and was just laughing. She said, "Well, what do you want me to do now?"
And I'm holding the cup to the ceiling with the broomstick. There's no leak. There's no leak at all. Nothing.
But there's water in the cup, so if she removes the broom, that water's gonna.
Yeah.
You see what I go through? Oh my goodness. So just find the little things. Right. You know, find the little things to enjoy your spouse.
Marriage. Yeah. And I think, Elaine, what you said a few moments ago is so on point, that if you find, especially if there was a period in your marriage where there was laughter, and now suddenly there's no laughter, it bears looking into.
Yes. Definitely.
To try to explore and see what's missing or what has happened or what has changed.
Right.
And like you said, do you like your spouse? You know, because maybe sometimes you don't like him no more. Maybe he don't like you no more. And if that's the case, then find out why.
Right. Definitely. It definitely bears digging into, you know.
Yeah, because when the laughter leaves, there is something underneath that. There's something underlying that is the catalyst for the laughter leaving the relationship.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Hold on, what am I seeing here? Oh, somebody said you're also a prankster.
Oh yeah, big time. But that's part of the relationship, you know.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Oh no, they said he. I'm sorry, they said yeah. So he is also a prankster. Talking about you, Jimmy. When you were talking about the red cup.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Elaine, there was something I read long time ago, and I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly what it said, but essentially it was saying, in terms of our health, that our refrigerator and our cabinet should really be our medicine. That's where our medicine and our health should come from. And I know you are a very, very strong proponent of eating healthy and living a clean and healthy life. So talk to me some about that.
I think, well, it started back some years ago when I first graduated from college. I was working for a doctor, an MD, who specialized in nutrition. Mm-hmm. And that sparked my attention for no reason than something else to learn. So I started following basically, what he was recommending to his patients at the time, low red meat, incorporate more greens and vegetables and fruits in your diet. And I was like, okay, let me just try it. Mm-hmm. And how I felt was amazing. And that was over 30 years ago. So I just carried that, on. And I think it's so important, especially as believers. We have such a high demand on us, and we are supposed to be the moral standard of the world, right? Right. So God has given us such a major platform to go out into the world and just try to do things for his kingdom. We need our health in order to do it. If you read the Bible, there's people in the Bible didn't eat. Of course, at that time, they didn't have a lot of, processed foods like they do now. Mm-hmm. But if you study the scriptures, you see that they were definitely on a plant-based diet. And I'm not saying that I'm like so straight regimented. I do have my off days. But I think as believers, we should be more mindful of what we're eating, because we're dying at the alarming rates, just like the world is dying of diabetes, of cardiovascular disease, of high blood pressure. Believers, we're right along with that population. I think God has given us such an awesome job and an awesome responsibility to get his word out that we need our health to do it. Definitely, we need our health to do it.
Yeah. And you were absolutely right. And the thing is that, God has given us such a wide array of healthy foods to eat and to choose from. Yes. We don't even really need to go to the processed stuff.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. But it's all about education. A lot of things that we don't know, quite frankly. We don't know about, different supplements. Something I just learned about something that's called holy basil that's good for anti-aging. We don't know a lot of things, but now people and foods are evolving, that it's just so many other alternatives out there that we can eat instead of, the processed stuff.
Yeah, that is so good. And I know, speaking of education and learning about these things, I know you talk a lot about that on your Beauty for Ashes platform. So in your introduction, when we were introducing you and reading your bio, we mentioned the ministry of Beauty for Ashes. So talk some about that.
So Beauty for Ashes was created to inspire, to motivate, and to encourage, particularly women, to forgive themselves of not only forgive themselves, but to heal themselves of their past mistakes. And sometimes if we don't heal ourselves from our past mistakes, those ashes can turn into depression. It can turn into, into anxiety. It can turn into suicidal thoughts. It can turn into fear. Mm-hmm. But God is definitely there to take all of your ashes and turn it into his beauty, which is in a form of peace, which is in a form of love, which is in a form of, beauty. He's just there to do that equal exchange to us if we're willing to forgive ourselves from our past mistakes. And that's in exact, like you said in the beginning, in Isaiah 61 verses 1-3.
Yes,
he'll give you beauty for your ashes.
Beauty for ashes. And I want to just encourage everyone that Elaine's ministry, Beauty for Ashes, you can go to Facebook. There's a Facebook page, Beauty for Ashes. Just look it up on Facebook and you will find it there. And there is a lot of education. Elaine talks a great deal about health, wholeness, physical health, mental health, emotional health, all of that. What did Kimber write here? Nisi and Liz, my two daughters-in-law, thank you so much for watching. Lisa, good to see you. So, Elaine and Jimmy, are there any final comments you want to make in terms of laughter and joy and all that in a marriage?
Well, first I want to say thank you for letting us come onto your show this evening and sharing our experiences with life. Anything you want to say?
I want to say thank you as well. And I could definitely see between you, Frank and Val, you guys are just radiating. Right. Definitely. Yeah. So I can see that it is definitely true how laughter can heal all wounds, and it can soothe all hurts, and it's an avenue to open up for conversation. And I just love you guys. And I just see how you guys have just grown. And I tell you, God is good. God is good.
And that we're able to give you guys inspiration too, you know. As you said in the beginning, we inspire you, so you inspire us.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Thank y'all so much. Oh, you know what? I always say to God be the glory. I have to give a shout out. My daughter says, "How do I always forget to give her a shout out?" My daughter, my one and only daughter, my firstborn, Sidel Chase Rosario.
Hey.
Hi, Sidel. How we go?
Yeah.
Oh, she said she found some pictures of y'all's wedding.
Oh wow!
I got one of her too.
Yeah,
I got a couple of videos of her too.
She was in the wedding. She was in the wedding.
With her little self.
Yep. Yep.
But you know, it's just an honor to have you guys here, to not just call you family, but also to call you friends. I just love you guys so much, and thank you for the kind words. And you know, I always say, with me and Frank's marriage, I tell everybody, this right here, this is something the Lord made. It wasn't him, and it sure enough wasn't me.
Right. The journey, you know, my friend Lucian always called from Full Force. Hey, Lou, if you're listening, he always says, Frank, you know, you and Val, you can write a book about the journey.
Yes.
And, you know, as I say that, you know, I think back through all the trials and tribulations. And I always visioned myself at some point sitting in and doing something like this. I fought against it. I fought against it for so many years, for so many reasons. And I am blessed to be here with Val, to, like we said, laugh about things and to share our story and receive stuff from everyone else. So I'm just blessed.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Beyond blessed. See, Frank doesn't realize, and I told him later, I know we're kind of off topic right now. We're just kind of chatting. For those who are watching, I want to thank you for watching. You know, our subject was laughter in marriage, and we talked some about that. But, you know, this is family and friends right here. So we're just having a little more conversation if you guys want to hang around and listen and share with us. Yeah. But one of my mentor, Yolanda Jones, I was having a conversation with her some time back, and she told me, she said, Valerie, she said, and she told me she saw us doing something like this together long before we started doing it.
Wow.
And I had said to myself, ain't no way in the world Frank gonna want to do this.
Wow.
Ain't gonna want to have no part of this. And she just said, Val, just wait and see.
Wow.
Just wait and see. And to God be the glory. And
that's
you know,
God. That's God.
Yes.
That's God.
Yes.
That's God. Just like I told you from the beginning, when I first saw it, I knew she was going to be my wife. That vision that you have right now, that's God.
That's
I
God.
gave you a vision. He gave you a vision. That's
wonderful.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So, guys, thank you so much again. And so hopefully we'll see you guys soon. I don't know when we're going to get together, but we know we will.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much again for inviting us.
Thank you. Right. Thanks for coming, guys.
And give my love to everyone.
Okay, you do the same.
Okay. Love you. So for those of you who are watching, thank you again. This is Valerie Mason Chase and my cookie man, Frank Bernard Chase Jr., but I lovingly call him my cookie man. We are here. This was another episode of Marriage Matters, brought to you by Marriage Beyond the Breach. Marriage Beyond the Breach is our practice where we provide counseling, coaching, consulting, and for full transparency, actually, my calendar is completely full, so I cannot take any new clients, but I have amazing colleagues. So if you reach out to me, I can put you in touch with some wonderful colleagues if you need or are in if you desire any counseling or coaching. Again, this is Marriage Beyond the Breach, where it is our strong belief that when two people are committed to each other, committed to their relationship, and committed to do the work, no marriage, no relationship is beyond redemption. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.